Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Bush League Huddle Fantasy Football Podcast. How is everybody doing on this fine April evening, April 13th, the year of our Lord? How are you? Happy belated Easter. Happy belated Orthodox Easter for all of our wonderful Orthodox listeners out there, both Greek and otherwise. Thank you very much for taking the time for being a part of this excellent episode that we have. We're still we're previewing NFL draft stuff. It's very exciting. Last episode we got the wide receivers done, which was always interesting. And this episode it's a little bit more spicy. We got QBs, we got running backs from a fantasy perspective, from a real football perspective. We're going to be double dipping a little bit, doing two positions this time around. The draft isn't as deep as it has been in the past. Let's call a spade here.
Boring.
You know? We're going to have to just we're going to have to put both of our feet on both sides of the pond over there, but that's okay. But before we jump into that, guys, please, ladies and gentlemen, please follow, like, subscribe on all of our social medias that exist out there. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcast, we're on X. Put up that X. No, we don't like that, Bryant. We're on X, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram. We're always interacting with our fans. We're always chit-chatting. We're always retweeting stuff, especially on Twitter. We're pretty active on Twitter, actually, because whenever we find wonderful memes and interesting little spicy draft takes, we make sure that our followers know about them. So please follow us on all of our social medias. It's always fun to interact with our fans throughout the process that is fantasy football. There's never an off season, and we're here for you guys. So like I said, we're going to continue our draft preview. We're not pretending to be scouts, grinding the tape. We're looking from a mock draft consensus standpoint, fantasy landing standpoints, like how's that going to benefit who these players are mocked to go through and what team can benefit the most from them. So that's sort of what we're looking at right now. And, we're going to have some conversations and some banter and maybe bring in some Diana Rossini. Sorry, no, that's not what I meant. Wow. Sorry. Mike Vabro, who? It's ridiculous. We're not that plugged in, apparently. She is, though. And so is he, apparently. So is he, I guess, to a degree. Right. So we got quarterback and running backs. We're gonna get this party starting. Without further ado, we're gonna start off with their quarterback. So I guess, what do these landing spots mean for these quarterbacks? We're previewing, I guess, the top three. I'm gonna go over some honorable mentions. I'm gonna kick it off with, I guess, the most talked about quarterback of all of the quarterbacks in this NFL draft, Mr. Fernando Mendoza, Mr. LinkedIn looking for work, Mr. Kirk Cousins light, who will most likely be backing up Kirk Cousins proper. He's been previewed as the only quarterback that should be drafted in some scenarios, unless you're talking to what's his name there, Orlovsky. Orlovsky wants Ty Simpson to go first, which I can understand that perspective, but we're not going to get into that. We like Dano; he's a friend of the pod. Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana, recently a Heisman Trophy winner, the NCAA football championship winner. Pretty much has every single accolade you would want, I think, as in a quarterback right now. He's being comped right now to Matt Ryan. I've seen comps to Kirk Cousins, obviously, and that's why it's hilarious that the Las Vegas Raiders actually happened to sign Kirk Cousins too. It's as if they're just cut pasting from one player to another. I've seen a floor comp to Sam Darnold, which I think makes a lot of sense considering Super Bowl winning quarterback. You can't go too wrong about that. And also, worst case scenario, looking at Jimmy G. I think the main draft scenario, I mentioned it before, I'm going to mention it again. I don't see how this guy goes anywhere else apart from Las Vegas. He's been mocked there by everybody and their cousin. I'd be very surprised if Vegas picks anybody else.
It's a foregone conclusion. It's not happening. They've already had meetings. Like,
if you could sign the player like we did in the past, he would already be signed.
Yeah.
I agree. I fully agree. I don't see him going anywhere else. It's kind of interesting. Because let's just assume he's going there. And will he start? We don't know. But let's just assume he's starting as well, just for the sake of conversation. Like, what does that really mean to the offense as a whole for Genty, for Bowers, even for Jalen Naylor, right? I mean, does a quarterback with the Matt Ryan style really raise the floor of this offense? Because he's very much like, if you look at the way he did in college, right? He wins a lot in structure. There's a lot of timing, a lot of RPO, a lot of play action. Now Clint Kubiak is going to have to tailor that offense to fit this quarterback, which, again, you compare him to Sam Darnold, and Clint Kubiak is coming from the Seahawks, where his quarterback was Sam Darnold. So there's a lot of commonalities, and you can see how there's a recipe for success, at least in the interim. My concern is that, and maybe I'm alone on the island like I usually am about this stuff. He has one good season in college. He has one good season. And after he changed program, went to Indiana, and the offense was the offense. There's a lot of first reads, second reads. Yep. Never really went to the third or the fourth reads. Good defense. Indiana had a very good defense.
Very good defense. Very good wide receivers too.
Very good wide receivers too. Absolutely. And some of them are probably going to get drafted this round. So I don't know. Like, I hope he does well. But I'm cautious with Fernando Mendoza in the NFL.
The second season at Cal was still 68% completion, 3,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. It's obviously not the Heisman winning season that he had, but typically for college quarterbacks, it's less maybe just the fact that he had one really elite season. It's more the fact that he hit that magic threshold of, I think it's 25 or 28 starts that you typically want a college starter to have, and he's at 36 starts. So that's not really what concerns me. What concerns me, despite, if you look at all the positives, and Fab, you mentioned all of them, RPO passing, pinpoint accuracy at back shoulder. Like a lot of scouts are saying, he has a back shoulder that's very reminiscent of Aaron Rodgers. Accuracy, tough as nails. We saw in the national championship. Yeah. What concerns me is Clint Kubiak's offense. I think they were 45% under center. Fernando Mendoza took 2 snaps under center last year. 2. And the second thing that concerns me even more is the pressure to sack ratio was really, really bad. I think it was 38th out of 57 quarterbacks in like the Big Four conferences. That's really, really weak as well. So that kind of shows leads to the kind of lack of creativity, more of the Jared Goff type of comparison. Those are the things that concern me, considering, the Raiders' offensive line, yes, they have Tyler Lindenbaum, but there's still some offensive line questions. And the back shoulder aspect, well, that's great and all, but, there's Brock Bowers, there's still only Jalen Naylor, and he didn't really throw over the middle at all last year. That's like kind of the third concern that I have. So that, to me, is the reason why I think they're going to start Kirk Cousins. I think it's the right move.
I agree.
Goff struggled too. Another first overall pick. He struggled in his early days with the Rams, and obviously got himself traded too. So I think it is the right move to not throw him to the wild, and signing Kirk Cousins, I think, was perfect pro to be mentored by. And I good year, good college career, very very good year last year, but there's no rush with the Raiders. They're not a Mendoza away from winning right now, right? So let him develop properly and give him his year. He's probably going to get some starts this year, but I wouldn't throw him to the Wolves week 1.
Yeah, no, that's it. I think that's why they brought in Kirk Cousins, exactly for that, Knack. Speaking of, so Knack, you're going to keep this train rolling right now. We're gonna move on to the next quarterback. We got Ty Simpson.
Yes, the aforementioned Ty Simpson. So he is being projected as, or NFL comp wise, as Joe Burrow light in the top light of the top comparison. And there's also the worst comparison here to I can't even say the name, Kenny Pickett. Similar situation, and he's kind of being mocked into that area as well, where the Steelers' name keeps coming up. Again, they drafted Pickett 20th. They have Ty Simpson there at 21. There's still chatter that they could take him, make the QB splash while the draft is in Pittsburgh. Obviously, there's other notable names to mention. You have the Jets, the Cardinals, potentially in the second round. I don't know why the Browns would take a shot with the first round pick. They have 16 quarterbacks on the roster. The Rams potentially could sneak in and grab Ty Simpson, but I think all signs right now point to him potentially going in the second round, or so. The best case I think I see here is to try to get control over the player in the 5th-year option, and someone swoops in and trades back in late into the first round to pick 32 or 31, something like that. Something like Lamar Jackson did when Lamar Jackson got picked 32nd by the Ravens. But I mean, look, he's he's an intriguing QB prospect, right? Like former 5-star recruit, finally took the reins at Alabama, and for all the chatter of not a lot of starts in college, he had a really sneaky good year. 65% completion, 3,500 yards, 28 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions in 15 games. So I mean, he still had a really really solid season as a starter this year. Very accurate rhythm passer. Poised and structured. So you'll have to work with him, obviously, but he had a lot of production versus the sec. So the
The
numbers and
sex.
turnovers were high. The what?
The
The sec,
SEC.
the SEC, the SEC, the sec. I
Bruh.
call it the sec.
Diana Rossini, come on
You're-
down.
yeah, the SEC. He had honestly very low turnovers and against high level defenses. So he played really
Yeah.
well against the top defenses, right? Obviously, the cons, the 1 year starting, so that's obviously going to always be there. Only started 1 year. I think you mentioned it, Raj. Mendoza had 36 starts. That's what you're looking for in a college QB typically. But average physical tools, right? So he's not like elite. He's not that guy. Not huge arm talent. He's not the guy that's going to be, that Mendoza dog in him. That kind of, like you said, you showed in the national championship. He doesn't have that kind of physical tool to him, and inconsistent under pressure as well.
Yep.
And late season dip though. He started off strong and dipped late in the season, so people are worried about maybe his durability questions. As far as a fantasy standpoint is concerned, I think there's zero fantasy standpoint next year, at least, because wherever he goes, I highly doubt there's any starter. I don't think he starts over anyone right now in any team he goes to.
That was well said.
No, yeah, I agree. And the thing that I like the most though about Ty Simpson is really the program that he's coming from, and the fact that he did face tougher competition and more NFL comp sort of competition. I think that plays the biggest factor in the value for him. But yeah, I'm not going to be a dead horse. We're not. No one's going to be drafting Ty Simpson next year and starting him in his lineup, even 2 QB leagues. So
I think if the only way is maybe if he gets to the Cardinals, which I've seen. I mean, I don't think the Cardinals take him in the third pick, obviously, but maybe in the second round. I agree, Nak. Like the Browns doesn't make any sense. The Jets are looking at the QB situation in 2027, and I've seen the Rams as an option, maybe with they did get an extra pick, I believe, from the No, they gave that pick away. Sorry. So that might be a second round option as well. So I agree with you guys. Very, very tough to predict or to see him playing this year, unless maybe it's with the Cardinals or there's a bevy of injuries in that QB room.
And Rod, you wanna drive us home with the last quarterback?
Yeah, so I guess kind of similar type of career, similar type of even frame. We have Garrett Nussmeier, who come from LSU. So I think the funny thing with Nussmeier is that if he had come out last year, I think he might have had a better shot of maybe being in the second round, maybe even flirting with the first round. He had a really solid year last year. This year, a lot of struggles due to an injury. If you look at his numbers, so last year he was like 4,000, just a shade over 4,000 yards, 64% completion percentage, 29 touchdowns, 12 INTs. This year his season was cut short. He has very much a gunslinger mentality. I saw a lot of comps with regards to him for maybe higher level Gardner Minshew. Todd McShay was saying even like a Baker Mayfield style in terms of his gunslinger mentality, willingness to kind of fit it in tight windows as well. But he's a good processor, quick release, again, comfortable attacking tight windows. Yeah, I saw that too. Fab, Jameis Winston as a comp as well. That's a good one too. But again, he has the same issue with Ty Simpson, is that his frame is smaller. So look, it's not like these guys are getting drafted in the first round. But as we know, the track record of drafting guys who are either 6'1" or below, or Nussmeier's case below 205 pounds, you have the likes of Bryce Young, Kyler Murray, a lot of guys in that realm. The only ones who have really, really succeeded are Drew Brees. Drew Brees was 6'209". Otherwise, anyone who's below that 6'1" mark or even below 205 pounds, which has also been kind of a checkpoint for QB sizes, it's been a big struggle. So in terms of where he could go, the Steelers have been floated around as well. Again, I think 21 obviously too rich. And then it becomes the similar type of teams that we've talked about: the Rams, maybe the Browns with the second in the second round. Maybe the Dolphins take a flyer. The interesting one could be the Saints because his dad is a coach, but maybe to be more of a backup option. But again, QBs, it gets to a point where you kind of draft QBs either in the first or second round, and if they don't get drafted in that range, you see them going like in the fourth, fifth, or even sixth round, because typically teams will draft obviously a starter in rounds 1 or 2 in other positions. They're not going to waste second round capital or third round capital if they're not going to start a guy just to keep him on the bench. So I think for Nussmeier, it's probably going to be a very hard situation for him to be drafted before day 1, I would say, or definitely even late day 2.
A lot of these guys are going to start coming off the board after Mendoza. Maybe Ty Simpson, like I said, comes into the first round. He probably goes second round, but all these next QBs, I think third round, you're going to see a really like a flurry of them come off the board.
Yeah.
And like you said, you look out for teams like the Steelers who have 3 third round picks in this draft. So teams with multiple picks, especially in the third round, I think I could start seeing these guys. And I think there was I think I read there was some connection with Steelers coach name. Why am I blanking?
Mike McCarthy?
Mike McCarthy, yeah. He coached with his father or one of his family members, Nussmeier, and he remembers Nussmeier used to come on the sidelines and be around Mike McCarthy. So I think there was some links there as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the QBs that potentially falls to them in the third round.
I think just one more thing to add is Simpson and Nussmeier. Simpson will take some time because of the 15 starts, the only having 15 starts. But both guys, their fathers were coaches. I think Ty Simpson's dad coaches at UT Martin, which is a smaller school in Tennessee. So both guys, they have dads who've coached for 20 years. So they know football, they know the game, they play it the right way. At very worst case, I'm sure they're potential backups or spot starters. But I think that goes. Those are things I, from what I'm reading, scouts really appreciate about them, even if their ceilings aren't necessarily very high.
I think Nussmeier will have a better NFL career than Ty Simpson. I think the injury derailed him, and he would have been a first-round pick if he would have had a similar season like he did in 2024. LSU was a very good program. Like, we all know that.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. He's probably going to get a knock because he got injured. And I don't know what the injury situation is or how serious it is or if he's healthy or whatever the case may be. But wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of value in Nussmeier. If he goes in the second round, I think that could be very beneficial for whatever team drafts them, because you're getting it could be a quality player right there, especially for the Saints in the second round.
Yeah.
Like that could be nice.
It was an oblique.
It was an oblique.
Yeah.
Those gosh darn obliques.
Yeah. Hate an oblique.
Saints have Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, the only connection I have for the Saints is because of his dad. But like realistically, Tyler Shuck is
Louisiana too, right? So it'd be a pretty good connection.
Yeah, going back home. So that's our 3 marquees. Quick mention for QB honorable mention. So it's Cole Payton, North Dakota State, sort of a better Taysom Hill gadget quarterback. So look at maybe the Steelers, the Eagles, and the Dolphins as potential mocks there, obviously in the later rounds.
McShay has him as his third. McShay has him as his third QB off the board, actually, in his big board. I've been hearing a lot of stuff about him.
McShay over Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah.
Well, if McShay says it, then there is some credence to it. That'll give. So keep an eye out for Cole Payton. Also Carson Beck out of Miami University. So being compared to Tanner McKee and Aiden O'Connell style of a pocket passer. Colts have been showing up the most in mock drafts as well. Drew Allar out of Penn State University. Joe Flacco style of quarterback, big arm development QB though. And obviously he's always going to be mocked to the Steelers like every other quarterback is. Rams, Colts in that range. And then there's a big sort of a project in Tailing Green out of
I
Arkansas.
like
Big
this
six
guy.
five,
Yeah.
yeah, 6'5",
I like this guy.
440. 6'5" ran a 40 and 440, which is extremely fast. I again could end up being a project, but also an amazing, amazing athlete. So it's another Anthony Richardson, basically. Um,
No, he's I think he
I'm
started four
kidding. I'm
years.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kidding. Respect to Taylor Green. Anthony Richardson. We'll
I
see
know
you
we
next
talk
year.
about we talk about Nussmeier. I heard like Carson Beck to the Steelers. They're going to end up getting Drew Alar. It's just like it's one of
Yeah.
those that it's been written in stone for like 2 or 3 years. That's all you've been hearing. Watch them. That's who they end up getting as a quarterback in the draft this year. And I would just laugh because it's just been like everyone just has been
Steelers
speaking about it for years.
Steelers love their Pittsburgh. They love their Pennsylvania
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
They really
It's
do.
it's sad.
Yeah, exactly. So those are our quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're gonna switch gears a little bit and run on to the running backs. No pun intended, or pun intended, whichever you like. Roger's going to kick it off with the number one guy that everybody wants right now, who could be a potentially top five, even top 10, potentially top five pick. Raj.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with Jeremiah Love, who a lot of the draft pundits have as their number one player on their big board. McShay actually has him graded 95 grade. I think the highest grade he gave a running back was Saquon Barkley. And then afterwards, maybe a little bit afterwards, was Bijan Robinson. And with regards to Jeremiah Love, if you look at his measurables, if you look at his speed, he ran an amazing 40 time of 4.36. He's an explosive home run threat. He's really good out of the backfield. He had an amazing season with Notre Dame, 1,200 yards, 6.9 yards per carry, 17 rushing touchdowns, and he still was able to add 28 catches for 237 yards and 2 TDs. So he has scored in a school record 13 consecutive games, and he had a 98-yard touchdown run in the college football playoffs. So from a comp perspective, best case scenario I've seen, and actually McShay provided this one, was a healthy Darren McFadden. So if Derek McFadden had lived up to his potential, which he had a really good rookie first few seasons, I also saw a bigger Jahmyr Gibbs, which is obviously that's an amazing comparison. And the one that I heard on a podcast with the Ringer Fantasy Football guys, Reggie Bush. So that's like a worst case scenario of Reggie Bush, who still had 2,000 or 3,000 yard seasons, was electric on the passing game and electric in the open field. That seems really like a really good option. Obviously, his only weak points from what I'm seeing is he could be a little bit bigger, and from a pass protection standpoint, he could tend to improve on that front. But he seems like a can't miss prospect at the running back position. Most scouts still kind of rated him behind Saquon Barkley and behind Bijan Robinson, but he's kind of right there from an elite standpoint at the running back position. In terms of where he's showing up, it's really going to be an interesting and fascinating aspect in terms of where Jeremiah Love gets drafted. I've seen the Titans, which is coming up the most. I picked number 4. Schefter was on McAfee's podcast saying that he thinks that the Titans could be a realistic option. There's obviously the Giants at 5. There's the Commanders at 7. I can't see him getting past the Commanders. However, I've seen even the Cowboys at 12, but they just signed Javonte Williams. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I think this guy's a can't miss prospect from a grading standpoint. Now it just depends on what do you think from a running back value standpoint, getting a running back that high, but him counting $10 to $12 million against the cap.
Tough, man. It's tough. But if you hit on that talent, like a Bijan Robinson, a Jahmyr Gibbs, we have comps there to these types of players. They've got to hit like that type of player. If he doesn't hit like that type of player, it's way too rich for our blood. Or if you don't treat him as such, right? If he goes into the wrong situation. Now, the Titans, is that the best situation for him to come into in the NFL? Maybe. The Giants, I think the backfield is kind of muddied right now, right? There's a few bodies in there. There's Scadaboo. There's still the Singletary that's there. There's still Tyrone Tracy that's there. Is it really for them to start drafting a running back 5th overall? Not sure. And Washington, I think that's the sneaky one to look at. I think, like as you mentioned, they don't have they traded Chris Rodriguez is no longer there. You had
They signed Rashad White.
Yes, Rashad
Yeah,
White. But he's more of like a third
Yes.
down
yep.
type of back. So you need kind of like a back like this. So they're looking at they need a body big time, and their team is young. They got the young quarterback. Is it the right time for them to pick a running back that high? I'm not sure, but it's definitely my intriguing option. I don't. You're right. I don't think he gets past Washington talent wise, but a little hard to digest a running back that early.
But even Washington, like they need a wide receiver more than they need a running back, in my opinion. Like they're Terry McLaurin has how many years left in him, right? And they don't have another
Mm.
stud behind that. And you want a younger wide receiver to start pairing with your young quarterback. Same argument for the running back. I don't know, man. Like I really hope the Giants don't draft him, not because I don't think he's a good player, just because we have other needs. The Browns, they just drafted a running back last year. Like it's hard to tell. It's hard to gauge where he's gonna go. The Titans make the most amount of sense for me, just
They're not
because
ready.
they're not. They're
What I'm
absolutely
saying,
not ready.
it's a weird team to go to,
Yeah,
especially like that high. Like if the Chiefs were picking
yeah,
fourth, like I would love for the Chiefs to have picked them and not
for
signed,
sure.
obviously, Kenneth Walker. Like a team that's more prepared. This team is it's super young. Like the quarterback's got to develop. It's they need wide receivers too. Like it's not a foregone conclusion over there.
There's a few mocks that have the Cowboys trading up to 3. There was a mock that had the Seahawks. It's an older mock that had the Seahawks trading up to 3. Those are teams to me that make a lot of sense. And this is nothing against Love. Like he's going to be a fantastic player, but
Yeah,
the teams that are available in call it the top 10, maybe aside from, in my opinion, from the
Coaches
Giants,
usually take, right?
aside from the Giants, to me, all those teams are not ready to draft a running back this high. I think Cam Skadigus scares the shit out of me. Like I don't think he is gonna be an NFL player for a very long time. The way he plays, he needs to calm the hell down, and I think they need even more insurance. But yeah, it's looking like it's the Titans, but they have a lot of other needs. They need the pass rusher. They still need a wide receiver. They could still use offensive line help. So
Weird.
yeah,
yeah,
and it's actually interesting because his we'll move on to Jadarian Price, who is his teammate.
yep.
Fab, tell us about Jadarian Price, and could there maybe be some value in not taking Love and taking Jadarian Price instead at a later pick? Sorry.
I think he's gonna go in the later rounds as a later pick. I don't think he's gonna get there, and I don't think he's gonna be there in the first round. Like I don't think he's been drafted in the first round. Again, like the running backs are a little bit like quarterbacks, where it's like you have one top tier guy, and then everybody else is sort of just like potentially depth or a project and all that. I think Jadarian Price falls into that. Like, listen, he is electric. You get him in space, and you can see the guy cook. He's been comped to Aaron Jones. You've seen a little bit of Devon Achane from an explosiveness standpoint, which is always very exciting. But really, that's sort of when it ends, like from that architect. Listen, he shared a backfield with Jeremiah Love. So there's that to consider, but he did average about 6 yards per carry all throughout college. Last year, he had 11 touchdowns too, which was really good. Um, from a combine perspective, he ran a sub 450 40-yard dash. So the guy's quick, a 1.16 yard, 1 10-yard split. He has that home run speed. He has the burst through the hole. He has that juice in space. Get him outside zone, get him in space. He's going to cook, right? That's sort of what you're looking at right now. And right now, he's being mocked to Seahawks at pick 32, which I like because he would be. It's more of a committee style of running back for him. He's more of the RB2, 1A to the 1B. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to be your bell cow. There's some concerns with him from a pass pro perspective, and we all know how head coaches don't like rookie running backs that kind of do a lot of good pass pro. So I think the value for him is going to be much more in a committee standpoint. And if you're looking at a committee running back, he's not getting drafted in the first round. He's going to be a day 2, day 3 guy. And I think this just falls into everything else we've been seeing from other running backs as well. Like he could provide some value to an offense as a particular piece to that offense. But I think that's where we're looking at right now. I mean, he's being suggested to be mocked to the Broncos, to the Texans, obviously the Seahawks too. Texans could be interesting, but I don't know if you're going to be relying on Jadarian Prince next year from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, last year's running back class was really good.
Yeah.
We've seen obviously the kind of re-apex of the running back position, so it'll be interesting to see where Price lands. But that was a really good backfield. He 1,400, I think Fab, you said 1,400 yards across 2024, 2025. That
Yep.
having Price and Love in your backfield is really impressive.
It was a crazy fun year to watch in that
Yeah.
backfield, that's for sure.
Yeah, totally. Nak, what can you tell me about Mike Washington? He's coming up in most big boards as the number 3 running back in a lot of scouts' boards.
Yeah, he's a actually pretty biggish running back, 6'1", 220 pounds. And he broke out at Arkansas in 2025, over 1,000 yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, 28 catches as well, after transfers from both Buffalo and New Mexico State. And honestly, he turned that production into some real buzz at the combine. 4.33, 40, 39 inch vertical, and a perfect 10 RAS, relative athletic score. So confirming what you see, like he's a big downhill bruiser who can also hit some home runs if he gets a crease. So being comped to Tony Pollard, friend of the pod, and teams sneakily, again, Washington, teams like that are kind of lurking at a player like that. He could be a pretty sneaky good PPR fantasy back, again, depending on the landing spot. Another one, obviously, Seattle. Seattle needs another guy back there, so that could be pretty interesting. The one that I actually read about the most was, or the most, but the one I read about that made me like light bulb on was the Falcons. Could be a
Yeah,
sneaky good landing spot
they
for
lost
him. He's
Algier.
got,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So pros on him: elite size and speed combos. Like I mentioned, 6'1", 220 pounds, decisive and physical runner. That big playability he could have. He's that home run hitter that could happen on any play, and he's got that receiving upside. He caught 28 passes in 2025. The real knock on him, though, is the ball security. So a lot of fumbles, and it's a big issue. So gonna have to fix that in the pro game. His pass protection and third down work as well. Technique and recognition of a blitz pickup are really inconsistent. So that might keep him off the field early in his NFL career. And just the fact that he was like a late breakout, kind of transferred a few times, that was kind of another knock on him as well. But I don't know how much. Again, it's going to depend where he lands this year and in terms of fantasy value. But yeah, another guy who's going to be available probably in round 3 or later, not before that.
I'm curious. Just if we just go back to well, one thing with Mike Washington, just looking at him and his comp, he reminds me of Trey Benson. Like it's like seeing a back that big, 6'1", 233, that speed, but maybe not as shifty. The Trey Benson thing like looms, and you said transferring, maybe only had didn't have too many great years in college. So that'll be interesting to see. I'm curious with regards to Jeremiah Love, where would you guys draft him depending on where he goes? Like, let's say he goes to, the Titans, or he goes to the Giants, or he goes to the Commanders. Are we making the same Ashton Genty mistake that we did last year?
I mean, yeah, we
I
are.
wouldn't.
We are.
Well, I guess we're in different opinions.
Yeah, we are. A lot of it depends on where he's going, and a lot of it depends on the
Where
talent
he
is
goes.
there. Like, but I mean, do I want him as my RB1? No. Will I be happy with him as my RB2? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
Clyde, it always goes back to Clyde Edwards-Helaire for me. He went to the best team, and everyone drafted him in the top 6 in fantasy, and they were not rewarded.
Yep.
It's just tough, man. It's tough. And
But
Genty, for all accounts, had a really good year last year, right? Like he had a pretty productive fantasy season as well, right? So, but it's just like Like if you're picking second in the second round, like is that someone you're comfortable picking that high in the second round? Second?
But if you look at the Ezekiel Elliott's of the world and the Leonard Fournettes of the world that got drafted very high from a real football perspective, went on to have very good rookie seasons. I'm saying you're right, man.
There's outliers for sure.
I don't think those are
Zeke-
outliers. I think it's pretty even keel actually. I think it's pretty split.
Zeke was one of the high. I think he's probably like higher rated than Love, and got drafted to the Cowboys, who had like an elite offensive line.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
that's
what
when
about
they really had. Fournette didn't come out swinging if I don't remember correctly.
Yeah,
with the Jags.
His first year was 260 carries, 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. Like,
okay,
that's RB1. That is RB1.
Yeah.
It's not good RB1. Yeah, it's like it's at the end. It's like RB1 if you're starting 12 running backs.
Yeah. If you're getting a Zeke Elliott season, I would agree with you guys.
Zeke Elliott didn't he win Rookie of the Year? He won Offensive Rookie of the Year that year. He almost, and I think he led the league in rushing, if I'm not mistaken, in his first year.
Yeah,
but to your point, he had the best offensive line in football. Remember when, we used to say our grandmothers could run through that offensive line and gain 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
he's not really going to that in the Titans, right? If he goes there,
well, that's the thing. I think a lot of it depends on where he's going, and I think if he goes to a very good structure, you'll be more interested in drafting him. If he goes to the Titans, I agree. I wouldn't want him, and I'd be a little bit more concerned as my RB2 if he goes to the Titans. Yeah.
The Titans just don't scream fantasy for me ever. It's
true.
It's just like the ugliest team to me, and it's just like, do you ever think a Titans player, and do you ever think like, yeah, fantasy, like I'm gonna grab, like never. There's not one player you think of that you're like, I gotta have on the Titans.
Yes.
Don't tell me Wandale Robinson.
AJ Brown,
Chris
Johnson, like back in the day, not currently. Currently, no. Currently, no.
Lately, like the last 5 to 8 years, man, it's been a wasteland over there. It's just been like, you don't think of like fantasy sexiness with the Titans. You just don't. Just very unsexy. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they're gonna bring that back this year with Robert Saleh and my boy Dave.
Are you saying they're bringing sexy back?
I don't know.
Is Rossini coming back, or she used to be their beat reporter?
Well, she was their beat reporter for one particular reason.
She did a lot of beating.
She was beating a certain head
drum
coach.
Beating
drum.
a drum.
Yes, the drums. Yes, yeah, the two drums.
I think that's. I think that's our cue, and that'll do it, ladies and gentlemen. That's our QB and running back draft landscape. Thank you for listening. As always, we will be back with our draft analysis in a couple of weeks. Only it's crazy. It's in 10 days. Guys, 10 days. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 10 days.
10 days. 10 days. We get to find out
we will be back.
We're drafting.
Absolutely. It's gonna be something. So tune in.
Yes.
Tune in to the Bush League Huddle Fantasy Football Podcast. Much.
Peace out, everybody.
Back to Diana Rossini. When's the OnlyFans coming up?
Wow. Wow. Podcast after
it's
dark.
Probably only a matter of time because she's going to lose her job. She's going to have to make some bank.
She'll be on YouTube or something.
Oh my God. She's probably going to be on YouTube.
She'll be on
like
YouTube.
every other failed journalist.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
What a waste.
For sure. Yeah.
Goodbye, everyone.
Peace out, everyone.
Bye-bye.